9 rounds as fast as I can pull the trigger. Here we go. Tabletop review, FN SLP Mark 1. In the project for a long time, got lots of data to share with you, and it's pretty much all good. This is a go-to-war shotgun, guys. Viewers of the Nutnfancy project for the last 4.5 years know what that phrase, at least as I apply it, means.
It is a freaking tank of an
Bet your life reliable. Tough, durable, accurate, all those things we'll talk about in detail as fast as I can. If this would be a 20-minute review, I would just be so stoked. We'll cover it though. Go to war auto-loading shotgun, that's a rare thing with me. I have decades of experience with all types of auto-loading shotguns, to include Benelli. And yes, I would choose this over a Benelli. For several reasons I will indicate before the end of the video. Don't get me wrong, I think Benelli is a go-to-war shotgun as long as you load it right. We'll talk about that. Along with all this stuff, more or less, I'm going to jump right into philosophies of use. Let's go back to that valley of the shadow of death. What does that mean? And by no means am I trying to make light of serious self-defense confrontations. To me, the valley of the shadow of death is when good people, whether they're military, law enforcement officers, responsible, law-abiding citizens, find themselves faced with evil rising. You can't negotiate with it. It happens quickly. Your life is at risk, the life of your loved ones. I think the calling of the FN SLP auto-loading shotgun is as a defensive gun, a go-to-war gun, especially for patrol officers, and I'll break that out into its own philosophy of use. I have lots of cops that watch the show. If your department doesn't have these, it should consider it. It is a tough, reliable, and extremely fast shooting shotgun. You will see that throughout the video. A patrol shotgun. Now, is the FN SLP Mark 1 your best choice? I mean, this version is 43 inches overall length. About 8.2 pounds without the optic. A lot of officers will say no. They like the 18-inch barrel shotguns, and I think that's completely reasonable. When we get to firepower, I'll kind of discuss the 22-inch barrel one. But patrol gun, absolutely. Let's get back to that valley of the shadow of death as it applies to good civilians. This is a mean machine, the FN SLP. I come away after testing it with a lot of respect for the gun and what it's capable of doing. I will also say I have a lot of respect for all types of combat style of shotguns, not just FN SLP. Benelli's one of them. Remington 870, some versions of the 1100 Remington variety. Maybe the Mossberg 930. There's some great ones out there, but this one will stand the test of time, I believe, and you can rely on it for defense of your ranch, your double wide, whatever you have, home defense gun, you bet. Is it better than a pump shotgun? What do I have hanging off here? How about the old venerable Mossberg 590, reviewed back in 2009 here in the Nutnfancy project. Has a tech loader bracket on it, a superfluous heat shield. That's a great pump shotgun, the Mossberg 590. Go check out my review. Better option between these two? Well, it just depends. Depends. I think they're both excellent options. Who's doing the shooting? Who's going to be manning the gun? If it's you and you're capable with either gun, then maybe cost would be an issue, and this is definitely a much more affordable option than this FN SLP. You know, auto-loading shotgun is as long as you can hold it, a one-armed affair. You can shoot it. Reloading might be a different option. It will shoot faster than a pump, most pumps, unless you're really fast. Kind of like that Winchester 1300. That thing's slick. Home defense gun versus a pump, you'll just have to decide. There's nothing wrong with a pump, and that would probably be a better choice for most households, actually. And more legal in a lot of different states and locations where an autoloader like this may not be legal. How about WROL gun? We talk about the valley of the shadow of death. Well, remember back in 1992 in the Rodney King riots, what were the shop owners armed with? The ones that didn't get their shops burnt down in South Central. Shotguns. This thing looks mean. It's authoritative looking. Would you want to be looking down that muzzle? I wouldn't. You want your guns to look mean in a WROL situation so you don't have to make a shot. Talking without rule of law, when there are no cops, everything's overwhelmed, and it's up to you to provide your own personal security. I think this is an outstanding option. It is a shotgun. That entails some serious SAWC considerations, which you need to consider and make sure they'll fit. And that takes us to actually what some would think is a much more practical and useful philosophy of use, and that is as a competition gun. Is that Jerry? Looks like Mikulik. That's a lot of what FN does in marketing the FN SLP, especially the Mark I, as a 3-gun option. You can see all the accoutrements that are on that one. As a competition gun, I think it is doing very well because of its track record and how it's proven itself. It's a fast-shooting, reliable, _reliable, auto-loading shotgun. And also, I'll say this now, let's have the discussion. It will cycle this stuff right here. Low base is what I call it. So that's 8-shot, 1 1/8 ounce promotional loads. I think I bought this at Walmart. When I did my pump shotgun reviews back in 2009, I talked to the fact how pumps have an advantage in training because they're more economical. I will stick with that. There's very few auto-loading shotguns without modifications, easy modifications, that will shoot this reliably. This one will. That means you're trained and proficient on its use. But Nutnfancy, I like the Benelli. The Benelli's awesome. Well, it is, but I had very poor experience with 2 Super 90s back in the 90s trying to make them run field loads. 1 1/8 ounce field loads. They would not do it. Now, as soon as I ramped up to high base, whatever it was, pheasant loads, this is a slug, reduced power slug. Sure, the Benelli runs awesome, very reliably. But I can't train with that. It's just too expensive. It's not cost effective. And so in that philosophy of use, maybe a pump shotgun's better. It's going to pretty much shuck whatever you throw in it. The FN SLP, from what I've seen, there are some break-in caveats I'll tell you about. Does the same thing. It's basically a pump reliable autoloader. How many shotguns Can you say that about? And Sega fans, I've shot lots of Segas before too, but that's another gas system that you have to fiddle around with to make it reliable on whatever load you have. And then oftentimes it still will choke on you. You're shooting, choke. Is it the magazine? Is it the gas system? Who knows? All I know is there's plenty of stoppages in the Segas that I've shot. I don't really know if they deserve the go to war moniker. FN SLP definitely does. And then I'll say recreation gun. It's just fun. And perhaps we can roll into that a hunting gun. Yes, even this very tactical and competition oriented FN SLP Mark 1. Now I'll take it to the FN catalog, I guess. That's going to be the 2012 catalog. No. SLP. God, I love this gun. It's so sick. So sick. Why did you choose FN SLP Mark 1 Nutnfancy? Good question. I'm kind of jumping ahead, but I'll cover it now. Firepower. Shotguns are very rounds limited. Not Sega's Nutnfancy. I know, Sega's you can get the big magazines, but you get those soft plastic hulled shotgun shells stacked in the magazine and they tend to squish over time, and then you can have reliability problems. By their nature, shotguns are just bulky and hard to keep loaded. It's a constant loading situation with a shotgun, especially a tube-fed shotgun like the SLP. You're just going to have to get good at loading them. You can use certain devices like a tech loader, some other stuff. Where's that one? It's got the freaking, what is that, the X-rail on it. Those are very expensive. It's a competition toy. I would never put that on a tactical shotgun. Too big. Get good at loading. You're going to be doing it lots with a shotgun. That's just the way it is. And knowing that, how about I take 8 instead of 6 rounds? And that's what you get with the FN SLP Mark 1. It's actually going to be 8 plus 1 with 2 3/4 inch shells. It's going to be 7 rounds in the tube with 3-inch Magnum shells with this version. But that's not the only reason I prefer it, and that's pretty much your firepower discussion, more or less. Another one is I love the sights. I like the fiber optic front that you see right there. I like the folding rear sight. I like the cantilever rail. And I like the conventional stock that you see before you. I'm a fan of a conventional shotgun stock. I can run with pistol grips, done it for years. Not bad. I just like the conventional stock. To me, it just shoulders and points so much quicker, especially the way they have this FN SLP Mark 1 configured. That's the main reason. I'm gaining a little bit in weight, which again is a sizable 8.2 pounds. And here's your other varieties of SLP if you want them. You can get the tactical versions. So there's your 18-inch barreled one. That's called the SLP Tactical Standard, 39 inches overall, 6 plus 1, 7.4 pounds. The one beneath it is a Mark 1 Tactical. It's the same one you just saw, but it's got the rail up front, quad rail or tri-rail, I should say, pistol grip stock. I do not prefer these raised sights, usually, on shotguns, usually. There's your catalog review. Hope you liked it. FN SLP Mark 1 is my fave if your system can take it. It is a big gun. It's a man's gun. 8.2 pounds. That's no lightweight. On the good side, when you're shooting it, it makes it more controllable and steady on target. And I don't hear a lot of the 3-gun guys complaining about their SLPs in that respect. If you go hiking around with it for a while with lots of shotgun, what I'm trying to say is shotgun rounds, especially heavy ones like this, slugs, you're going to know it. Like I've said before, your best system, I'm talking LE guys mostly, you two civilians, is you have a layered armament system. You have an FN SLP that comprises one side of it, and then you have some TAC carbines, AR-15s, maybe some AK variants in the department that are ready to rock. That way you can cover all ranges, because a shotgun is still a shotgun, and it's, in my book, kind of good out to 50 yards.
Slug.
Yes, I know I can put slugs in it. I'll show you a slug target. Doable, but to me it's still not the ideal precision gun. To me it's a close-in, close-quarter battle weapon, probably to 25 yards ideally, like I've said before. There you go. That's the varieties that you have available, at least of 2012. This is actually an adaptation of a John Moses Browning Auto 5 gun. If you go into the beginning of the FN catalog, it'll give you a timeline of of the interaction between Browning and FN. I think it's fascinating. So they just upgraded it. It's basically an Auto 5 gun. It's a short stroke gas piston design, and I guess that'll take us into design and materials. So there are actually going to be 2 gas holes right about here in the barrel that will tap off gas to actuate a gas piston, which pushes up against a gas sleeve and what FN calls a positioning rod. That's an operating rod that impinges upon a 2-piece bolt. That's what actuates this actually pretty simple gas gun. Another reason I fell in love with FN SLP is servicing it. It's an easy gun. I'm kind of jumping ahead to field strip, but it's an easy gun to take apart, to clean. Just easy. It's simple. It's well made. I was just like so relieved when I got in there. It's not a big deal. I think the design is genius of the gun. Another thing this is yet another reason I'm in love with the gun, is it's just tough. Long story short, this particular gun was left out in the elements for an extended period of time. Rain, dust, whatever. Not really any worse for wear. This FN SLP, what serial number is that? There you go, right there. One reason is the bore is chrome lined and so is the chamber. Well done, FN. Well made in every respect. I think the quality and the materials on the gun are pretty much mil-spec. I know that term kind of means different things to different people. Let's just say it's just really tough, go to war capable. There's your magazine sleeve. That's not the magazine itself. It's actually a protective sleeve over the actual magazine. I'll roll in a picture. Magazine cap there. There's your long fore end. Boy, do I like that, because it gives us taller folks more places to grip the shotgun. You want to do a forward grip, you got it. Come back here for a rearward grip, no problem. And it has the best molded in checkering I've ever seen on a synthetic stock, the FN SLP. Well done. Sharp, here comes that word again, purposeful. Now that is checkering. Perfect. The only thing we're lacking on this particular Mark 1 is there's no rails to mount a light.
This guy killed.
Could be remedied by any number of additions to the side. I just didn't want to be running around with whatever that is, that 4-ounce tri-rail as it comes from FN. If I need it, I'll slap something on later, maybe a Mesa. Although Mesa tactical stuff is heavy too. So no light for now. And then there's that cantilever rail. We're talking about design materials. The idea behind that, I believe, is that you can take the barrel off. The optic stays with the barrel and it stays centered. It's not attached to the 6061 aluminum receiver. That's a good thing. Riding on top of this one, the TMP FN SLP, is a TRS 25 reviewed 2010. You'll see it in the upper portion of your screen. That is a great, high-value, functional red dot sight. Since I've done that review, I've seen this sight just everywhere, and in shooting on this gun it performed in excellent fashion. Very small, compact. It's a good choice for this. The best, Valley of the Shadow of Death choice, I don't know. Maybe. You just got to remember to turn it on and batteries can die on you. The good news is you have some backup sights ready to rock on your FN SLP, and these ones are actually pretty good. Fiber optic front, like I said, I like that. Watch that, it can break on you, that little fiber optic element. And then you have a 1022 style folding rear sight. Pretty simple, and it does fold on you a lot. So when I was running this with iron sights, I bump it and look down, and then lo and behold, it's folded again. Pretty much all folding sights can do that on you. And you have to look through the channel on the cantilever rail. I can't really show you an angle here. So that's not ideal for field of view, and that's why I went with a red dot sight on this version of SLP. In other words, you have your cantilever rail kind of occluding some of your target, perhaps. Get the shotgun stuff out of the way. That takes us to the butt stock. Tough, no issues there. Good recoil pad, taped as we always do in TMP so it doesn't grab on your clothes. You have sling swivels installed. How about that trigger? This one pulls at, I gotta look at my notes, make sure I get it right, 6 to 7 pounds. relatively crisp for a shotgun. So, not bad. Could it be better? Absolutely. Maybe one day trigger job. And then that is, I believe, a MIM'd trigger guard, aluminum variety, not plastic. There's your loading gate. Now you 3-gun guys will do all types of modifications to your FN SLPs for more speed. For me as, I don't know, a reviewer, recreational user, and then, I don't know, defensive use, I'm not going to change this one. Not now. I found it to be fine. I didn't find any hang-ups grabbing my finger as I loaded it. Generally, I would run it without gloves. Occasionally, I would. Seems to work out fine, though. There's your bolt release button. And then some 3-gun guys, competitors, will change that bolt knob out to something bigger. For instance, what's that one called? The Nordic Components makes one for it. Subject to change. Safety. Nice and big. Positive is on the rear portion of the trigger guard. Would it be better up here? For small-handed people, I think it's better right where it is. Nice and positive. Listen to that. I just didn't use any controls on the FN SLP and get annoyed. I was like, yep, that works. Yep, that works just the way I think it would. Talked about size and weight already. Really not much to add. The materials are outstanding. How about patterning and choke? I just printed that up. I don't know if I ever used that talking point thing. Let me show you some targets. This is what I came out with, and I got to be honest. I always am with you guys. I was a little bit disappointed in this one. This is this month with number 4 Buck Lawman right here. We counted pellets up. I think that's 3 shots, number 4 Buck, and it was a 56% hit ratio with the improved cylinder choke in it. Improved cylinder. So I think one reason is it was zeroed for slugs and the core of the pattern was down here. So if I would have aimed upper right, maybe I would have got more pellets. So it's still not bad, but it is what it is. Check out this one though. I couldn't find the paper target. So I'm going to roll in the photo. Doodle and I went out, shot this sucker with double-aught Buck Remington.
About 20 yards.
I think it was around 20 yards, and it was 100% hit into the torso. And then I was running, I believe, a modified tube in it. 100% hits on that target. So that's what I think is a realistic expectation with the right choke. You may have to experiment with loads, chokes, see what works best for you. 25 yards with slugs on this Mark 1. I wasn't too happy with that. This is the wads right here flying. I was like, come on, it's got to do better than that. Moved it out to 50 yards. This is a Federal Premium LE 127RR Hydroshock, and that's what I got at 50. This is out in the desert, by the way, just a few days ago, and I was like, that's not super impressive. I mean, it's acceptable, but it can do better than that. Come on. Took it to the range a couple days prior, and then this was at 25 yards. 3 rounds. I was like, all right, that's better. Now, granted, I'm not throwing a bunch of different slug types, and I'm not throwing exotic slugs in it, which some guys will do. They're like, well, this Sabo's best. This premium slug, you know. I'm like, oh, you mean the ones that are like $20 a box? Those? The ones you don't have any stock of? Those? The ones your department won't buy? Those slugs? That's what shoots best? No. Let's test the real stuff. That's what I concentrate on. Stuff that departments, individuals can afford. Kind of like this. You know, how's it going to shoot those? To me, that's a much better and more useful data point. And then finally, I was like, all right, let's scrub this sucker out. Because, like I said, it sat out in the weather for a long time. I detail cleaned it, and sure enough, I went in there and found we'd been shooting it for hundreds of rounds, all types of soot. I was kind of amazed how clean the receiver was with that short stroke piston design. Kind of like a tactical carbine that uses the same thing. The fouling stays up front, not the back. You'll see a vent hole underneath your handguard. This will get all dirty underneath here. Inside it wasn't that bad, but the bore, dirty. So I scrubbed the bore out, went back to the range, not the desert, locked it out, locked it down on concrete. This is what I came up with. Oh, yeah. That's 3 rounds. I'll show you as I shoot them. Always do. Federal Premium Slugs LE 127 RS. Well done. That's what you can expect. At 100 yards, I was going to shoot at 100. I was like, I don't want to. I was tired that day. That's good enough. It'd be a bigger dispersion. I don't know. 2-inch group. And yes, you can probably find slugs that will do much better than that. By way of reference, here's a Kel-Tec KSG at 50 yards in August 12th. That's pretty good. That's a cylinder bore, I think, throwing those. So I'll say the patterning of the FN SLP is on par. Maybe a little bit of above par. Again, experiment to see how it'll throw for you. I'm sure you can find some good loads for it. I'm pretty impressed with it. I would probably run the modified choke for defensive purposes. You competitors, I ain't going to tell you anything you don't know. There's all types of different choke tubes that guys will run for what they want to do with the gun, depending on the stage and the distance of firing. There's extended competition tubes, I'm talking chokes, that you'll screw into your SLP and it'll, again, do what you want it to. Patterning choke. All right, ergonomics. I think we talked most about that. Pretty good. One thing I didn't really talk about is a balance. I think it swings nicely. It feels good. Recoil is manageable. And actually not too hard in the SLP. Now, I'm a taller dude, 6'3", 205 these days. So for me, it's not bad. You get a small officer, I'm talking to my police officers again, they will not like the FN SLP. It's just too big for them. It's too ungainly. Maybe that standard tactical version, the 18-inch barrel, would be a better option for them. It's going to be about 7.2 again. Other than that, the size of the gun and the balance is outstanding. Ergonomics, I think, are pretty outstanding. That takes us to a fun section called accessories. I've talked about some already. Some I personally would never be willing to spend money on. Probably subject to change, like the X-Rail. I actually did look into that. I was like, that's cool. And I started looking at how it's used and how expensive it is, and how much weight it adds. I was like, no. As a game gun, you betcha. I mean, you can see the huge flared loading port, anything you can do to gain microseconds, to gain stage time. That's a lot of the accessories you're going to see for the FN SLP are catered to that crowd, the competition crowd. The Nordic components, bolt-op handle, they have a Teflon magazine follower, all kinds of choke systems. And then you have a whole series of, I guess I should tell you this, it does take Browning Invector, standard Invector tubes. Briley makes some extended ones, FN does too. It's all types of Velcroed on round extenders. They go around the side of the receiver, Velcroed on the side saddle fashion. You know, as competitors just want to shuck rounds as fast as they can, reload as fast as they can. As a defensive gun, a go-to-war gun, I wouldn't do anything to this. Except perhaps look into a side saddle option or adding rounds to the side. But keep in mind, this is a heavy gun already. You know, you put 6, 7 extra rounds on the side, then you're looking at a 9-pound gun. I know the rounds have to go somewhere, but integrate them somewhere else in your system. One thing I really do wish they'd get a handle on is Arms Tech making the tech loader specifically for the FN SLP and give us 2 different types of loading gates. Here comes that 590 again. So this is what I'm talking about. So there's the loading bracket, not really a gate, for the tech loader. And last time I checked, there is not one for the FN SLP. There should be. So Arms Tech, if you're still making those, come on now. Come on now. Get with the program, dude. This is the ones they list. Yeah, Remington, Mossberg, okay, Winchester, Benelli, all great guns. There's no FN SLP there. This is a good loader. It does take lots of practice. Reference my Eat Lead drill running the KSG, and actually a Winchester 1300 with this. I suck at it, but I'll get good. How about value? Well, it's an expensive shotgun, guys. I can't tell you it's not. It's going to be cheaper than the Benelli. You know, an FN does have a law enforcement program. So I think federal officer, police officer, local sheriff price, whoever you are, I think you'll be running around, you know, honestly I didn't really check, but I think around $950, $980 for this gun. I think street on the FN SLP Mark 1 at least is around $1050. So I really dig it actually when gun manufacturers have a program for LE guys, especially guys that have a purchase program and they're using their own funds for it. So good job, FN. Other options. You got the, I think no longer produced, Winchester SX2. That's a fast loading shotgun. Benelli M4. It's heavy. It's expensive. I'm not super turned on by it. I think the Benelli M2 is better. They make a competition version out of their performance shop. 3-gun variety. It has an MSRP of $2,700. The performance shot Benelli M2. Are you kidding me? $2,700? I'll take my SLP, thank you very much. Remington 1100. And then they have the new Remington Versa Max Tactical out. I think that looks to be a very awesome shotgun. A great competitor against SLP. Price-wise, perhaps, and also performance-wise. Benelli Supernova. Super don't have experience on that one, the Supernova at least. The Mossberg 930, some competitors use that. Various reports on it. Some say it sucks, some say it's awesome. It definitely is less expensive than the SLP. And then you have some European options, Turkish produced shotguns. One thing you got to watch out for is if, does it have the magazine capacity of the SLP? Remember, this Mark 1, 8+1. For instance, a Benelli M2, if it has a 5+1, whatever it is, 6+1, I ain't interested. I'm already rounds limited. Why am I going to shoot myself in the foot, so to speak, and have less rounds? I'd rather take some more bulk, firepower versus mobility. I need those extra rounds. They go quick enough, really quick. I mean, this is as fast as shooting an auto gun I've ever seen or shot. The FN SLP. I mean, I can empty the magazine in this easily less than a second. Maybe a little bump fire action going on in that. Fast shooting. And then you have the Segas. I think you can make a good Sega, but how are you going to carry the magazines? Which magazines you're going to have? It's more system complexity. There's really no perfect shotgun. This one's very rounds limited. The Segas are less so, but they have big magazines. And talking to tactical competitors with Segas, they're like, yeah, managing them, it's kind of tough. As a home defense gun, I think a Sega is a great option. As long as you have it tuned for your load and you've tested it and tested it. And your rounds don't squish on you. There you go. Durability and track record. I will say at the beginning of the test cycle, this was last year, Tactical Doodle and myself went out running the FN SLP in 18 degrees Fahrenheit. We had some jams with this load right here. No, I wasn't happy. I was very disappointed, actually. I was like, what? Come on now. This gun is supposed to run it. And yes, I'm running the light piston. And I forgot to mention that. I'll do it here. This gun comes with two what are called gas pistons. They will determine how hard that op rod's going to slam. Here's the heavy, black ringed. The red is light, and that's for 1.5 ounces or lighter. This is for greater than 1.5 ounces. They recommend you run your heavy piston. So throughout the entire test phase, by the way, I ran the red piston, light piston. Yes, even with the buck and slug shots, and I didn't see any problems at all with it. Not reliability when taking it apart, no battering, no parts breakages. Yes, if I knew I was going to do extended high base shooting, I'm going to throw in the black piston, the heavy, but talking with competitors, a lot of them run the light all the time, even with heavier stuff, and they're like, whatever, it's fine. I mean, this gun's a freaking tank. But going back to the jams, I was running the light piston. Yes, we had a few jams. Disappointing. It was cold. And it was when the gun had fewer rounds in it. Was it breaking in? I don't know. Some guys have said, yeah, you got to let your FN SLP break in. It'll take a little bit. The good news is after that outing, in subsequent outings, I saw no jams. And I actually did some cold weather testing after that to see if I could duplicate it, and I was not able to do it. Since then, it's been 100%. So I'm going to say the track record, I'm going to call it after break-in, was excellent. With all types of loads, even this crap right here. You want to talk about track record, go looking around on the internet and see what 3-gun guys or shotgun competitors are talking about the FN SLP. You'll see lots of good stuff said. It ranks right up there, if I predict probably above the Benelli, just in terms of value and its ability to easily cycle low base rounds. Maybe this video will help. FN SLP. Great track record, and also departmental as well for departments that opt to use an autoloader. I don't know if it's team or whatnot. One thing I didn't really talk about is maintenance. I did talk briefly about the field strip. It is pretty simple. Simple as I can make it. And then when you get inside of it, I just use some Slip 2000, Militech, whatever your lube is, and then I just lubricate every surface that is shiny, that slides. Not a ton of lube, just a little bit. Clean it good, put it back together, and I think the manual, by the way, is actually pretty excellent. Here it comes. Talks about breaking the gun down. There's the components, barrel, gas piston, gas sleeve, spring, all that stuff. Talks about the swap out. I'm not going to do it here on camera for time, of the gas piston. It's pretty simple. It does require you removing the forearm, slipping it off, taking the magazine sleeve off, the gas sleeve off, and then you'll just swap in your next gas piston of choice. Not a big deal. Taking the bolt apart, I thought was easy, straightforward. Trigger group came out easy, straightforward. Cleaned it really good, and then I relubricated it. I think the gun, track wise, durability wise, lasts a very long time. Again, ask the competitors using it a lot. It is a go-to-war shotgun. I would trust my life to it. FN SLP. Probably the best auto-loading shotgun, at least tube variety that I've seen to date, that I've shot to date. That's FN SLP. I'm serious. Light loads, I can train with it. If I'm in a defensive situation and that's all I have, are light loads, at least I can shoot them. You know, close distance, this stuff is nasty. Nasty. I mean, look at those buckshot targets. I mean, that is a lot of lead thrown. It is an authoritative gun within its own limitations, and that's usually range. You know, it doesn't have the versatility of some other newer designs like the KSG, a dual magazine feeding system, but that takes a huge amount of training to get good with. FN SLP, highly, highly recommended here in the Nutnfancy project. It slams. See ya.